Halito, Chim, achukma. It's your girl Cheyenne. Thank you for joining me as we take a look behind the scenes to discover the beautiful creations being brought to life on the bead mats of your fellow artists. On this podcast, you will hear the stories of beaders whose craft is an extension of themselves, those that use their hands to tell their stories. On the Bead Mat is a safe space to discuss struggles, triumphs, and that insatiable creative calling that keeps us coming back for more. So settle in, get out those beads, and let's discover what is on the Bead Mat. Hello everyone, and welcome to On the Bead Mat. My name is Cheyenne, and many of you might know me as Two Sparks CC or Two Sparks Collective. And I'm so excited to be bringing you this introductory episode, the prequel, if you will, to the On the Bead Mat series, where I'm just gonna, give you a little behind the scenes of who I am and what I hope that you will gain from On the Bead Mat. So I have been beading for about 12 years. Wow, that is surreal to say. Sometimes I don't think about it, and it kind of sneaks up on me just a little bit. But I started beading when I was about 17 or 18 years old. I had never really learned from my family or anything like that. I knew how to sew. And sewing really gives you, I feel like, a leg up when you're getting started with beading, because beading is sewing with beads. So I knew how to sew, and I knew like the basic stitches and things like that when I got into it. But the reason I actually wanted to get into beadwork was because I was starting college, and you're finding your niche and you're finding people that you can hang out with, and you're in this strange city all by yourself. And I remember I went to the Native American Student Association meeting at Oklahoma State University, and I walk in, and as a reconnecting Native, I already just felt overwhelmed because I didn't want to come off as a poser, but I definitely wanted to learn, and I wanted to be able to express myself and express my culture in the most, appreciative way. And I went into the meeting, and there were so many people wearing beautiful beadwork, and of course, I really didn't own any, and they looked so proud to be wearing it, and I wanted to feel that. I wanted to feel that same pride. Of course, I was on a college student budget, so broke is what I was. I was broke, and I had no money to pay anybody to create. And so I thought, well, I could try it. I could figure it out. Surely I could do something. And I think I started with like a $7 Hobby Lobby loom, and I had these janky turquoise beads, and I think some white beads that kind of had like a silver, I'm imagining it in my head right now, like a silver shine to them. And I did this like diamond bracelet image, and it just, now that I'm thinking of it, I know I have it somewhere. I'm going to have to pull it out for you all at some point. But I didn't know how to tie off the ends on the loom. Once you cut it off the loom, I didn't know how to tie the ends. So I think I just kind of like grouped all of the strings together and knotted them, and then like really strangely tied on some clasps. And they weren't even bracelet clasps. They were the clasp, those two pieces that you screw together and then you unscrew them. It was that kind of clasp. Not great for a bracelet because you're putting it on your wrist, right? So, oh gosh, that thing, I think I still have it somewhere. But it definitely was a work in progress, I will say that. And I think from there, I, ventured into some simplistic brick stitch earrings with the little danglies. Nothing super fancy, just whatever I could pull off. And I think brick stitch was my first thing that I kind of obsessed over, trying to get, some little characters made into earrings and things like that. I do recall making some I bought a pattern for, I think they were little duck, like mallard earrings, brick stitch mallard earrings. And there was like a little Choctaw dress woman that I purchased a pattern for. And I think I made one. I don't think I made both the earrings. I think I only made one side and then just gave up. But they weren't terrible, but they definitely needed some practice. I hope I still have all that so that I could show you at some point. But from there, I think the first time I really felt like I had found my style was my dad asked me to bead some feathers for him and his buddies. And I beaded a few up. I believe they were buzzard feathers, if I'm not mistaken. And they looked okay. They weren't bad. But I just kind of sat back and I remember thinking, oh, I'm not good at this. I am not good at this thing called peyote stitch at all. There's no way I could, figure out how to make a feather like this. And then I sat down and thought, okay, you're trying to bead the way you see others bead. How could you do this for you? Like, how could you do it in your own way? And I had this red-tailed hawk feather of my father's that's very precious. It was a sister feather to my late grandmother's, and it meant the world to him. And so I took it and I beaded it in a way that was my own. And it truly was just trial and error, and I came up with it, and it was, it's still peyote stitch around the quill, and it's just, I don't wrap it in leather or anything like that, and I attach the leather in a different way, and it was my style, and it was the first time I truly felt like, oh, I'm a beater. I can do this. Like, I can create things. And, oh gosh, I'm so proud of that feather. It had this gorgeous diamond pattern. We're Choctaw. I'm a member of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma, and I'm actually a registered artist with my tribe now. So I like to use a lot of diamond imagery in my work. And in the feather I did for my father, I did diamonds, and it was a red-tailed hawk, and so I got these orange beads that were like silver lined, and I, paired it with a dark gray and a black and a white, and I'm still so, so proud of that feather. And every time I see it, it brings me so much joy because it brings back all the emotions of finally feeling like a real beater for the first time. And, from there, it just kind of expanded. I did a few things for a powwow. Actually, the Oklahoma State University powwow reached out to me and asked if I could donate some items. And so I donated some feathers for their raffles that they do during the powwow. And then I was asked to create some feathers for a cancer fundraiser. And from there, it just became a business. And it was always something that was behind the scenes. I did it here and there. It's not like I really had an Instagram at this point or any kind of business entity. It was just mostly gifts and things of that, nature. And then, it grew a little bit and it became a business and it became an Instagram and a Facebook. And I took some beadwork to Shorty's Cowboy Hattery, and Shorty looked it over and she's like, yeah, I'll buy that and resell it. That's awesome. Wholesale. And oh, I was so excited. I think I actually have a Snapchat of me leaving that day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I sold my beadwork for like real money. And Shorty, she surprised me because she said, can you bead on cowboy hats? And I thought, no, absolutely not. And I told her this and she said, well, I think you could. I think you could. Here's a hat. And they're really nice hats. And I was like scared to touch it. She said, here's a hat. Take it home. Practice, bring it back, and let's see what you can do. And I thought, what? Wow. Sure. Okay. You have a lot more faith in me than I have in myself. So I took it home and I stared at it for a long time and I redid it a few times and I took it back to her. And it was truly the best I think I could have done at the time. But it was not good. It was not good at all. And she said, yep. I knew you had it in you. And she just handed me another hat. And she's like, this one's for a customer this time. I was like, oh, wow, cool. Sure, let's try. So I took it home and I did it. And then I brought it back and I got another one and brought it back and got another one. And now it's been, I think, 6 years that I've been with Shorties. And wow, I never anticipated that happening. I truly love it though. I love being able to create, sometimes people give me specifications of what they want color-wise, and other times people are just like, go crazy. And I get to pick everything from the colors to the style to the beads, and it's just, there's something so gratifying of staring at a blank canvas and getting to just create whatever masterpiece your hands decide to do. And that's one thing I'll probably say a lot in the podcast is I truly believe that my hands have a mind of their own. And there are some stitches that my hands can do, and there's some that they can't. Even when my brain understands the logic of it, if my hands can't figure it out, it ain't gonna happen. Even if there's things like loom work, and that's one thing I do on the cowboy hats. I do the brim, and then I also do a loomed hat band. With loom work, I can do it. My hands just don't like it. The work comes out pretty, I like the designs, I love the finished product, but there's just something about it that my hands don't like, and it takes the joy out of it sometimes. And so you'll hear me say sometimes like, "Oh yeah, my hands like that or my hands don't like that." That's what I'm talking about. They have a mind of their own sometimes. But so I've been beading with shorties for about 6 years, and um, I actually believe that the first video for me to get a lot of views on this thing called TikTok was of a beaded hat. I started TikTok during the pandemic, like I think a lot of people did. I never had like I'd heard people talking about TikTok, and I'd roll my eyes like, oh okay, I'm a little old for TikTok, and then I downloaded it and watched it for like 3 hours straight and thought, oh well, crap, I'm hooked. Like here I am, and I think I was on TikTok for a few months before I started posting. But my cousin Paris, she was like, "You've got to put your beadwork on here. You've got to do it. You would be surprised how many people are, they'll watch videos like that." And I thought, oh, okay, she's in high school. Of course she likes TikTok. Well, she wasn't wrong. I posted my first hat TikTok and then a few more, and people started watching them. And then I kind of started getting into it. I had a ring light, and I always felt like, okay, I need to put on makeup and make sure my hair is it's at least brushed. And I needed to, put on my beaded earrings and put on a nice shirt and look, presentable. And I'd record these videos, and I just record them on my phone and edit them in the app and post them. And then, of course, at some point, I don't know when this happened, but at some point, looking good for TikTok went right out the window. And it's all messy buns, natural face, no makeup, no cares. You get me as I am. Especially because, I've got 2 kids under 5. Like I need to not have to worry about my appearance. And truthfully, I think a lot of people on TikTok just they kind of prefer it that way. They feel like they're getting the real you, and I've gotten to know people on a much more intimate level because I've just been myself, and they get every ounce of the craziness that is Cheyenne. And oh gosh, I don't know how, but somehow there's I think we're approaching 83,000 followers on TikTok now, which what is that? I graduated with like 170 people. 83,000 is just unthinkable. Um, I have no words. Every time I say that number, it is flabbergasting. I can't understand sometimes why so many people are interested in watching me bead, but I'm so thankful that they are. And I think that a lot of people really enjoy the lives and getting to see me bead in real time and getting to talk with me and learn together. And there was a lot of beaders that I met last year on TikTok that were just starting out beading or getting back into beading. And we got to, learn together. And there was a lot of things that I got to see them grow in. I got to see some people grow in just their beadwork, and then other people grow. They'd already been beaders for a while, but they were growing their business itself. And I'm getting to see all of their own journeys and be even a tiny, tiny part of that brings me so much joy. And then, of course, I found amazing fellow creators in groups like the Turtle Island Beaders, where we get to bounce ideas off each other. And a lot of us have come together from TikTok. And it's just one of those where an app that I thought was so silly has turned into something that has become such a big part of me. Not because, I sit on my phone and just watch TikTok videos all day, but the camaraderie of it all, the native TikTok community, the beading community, it's so special. And true art and true electric energy is created when we collab together. I think the first time I really thought about starting a podcast was when the TikTok lives started allowing you to have duets, like you could do dual lives with other people. And I would have other beaders on. I think the first one was Lenny. Lenny Bead Hands came on, and we beaded together and just kind of like chatted with everybody. And then I know I did a few other duels like with Emily and some other beaders. And it was so fun. It was so electric. We got to sit here and bead together and talk about how'd you start beading and what kind of style do you like? And oh, what are you working on? And people in the comments would ask questions, and we'd just get to sit there, and you would think no time had passed, even though we'd been beading for hours. And that was the first time that I think I really started thinking about a podcast and getting to do some kind of collaboration with the fellow beaters that I'd come to call friends. And then, of course, this fall, for whatever reason, I have been invited onto a few podcasts, for different reasons. But each time I'd get off the recording, I would think, man, that was fun. And of course, a couple of them were like, why don't you have your own show? And I was like, because I can't. Like, I don't know that I could ever do this. I don't know that I have the right things to say. What would I say? And, it just kind of set in my mind, and we went through the process. And I reached back out to Mary and Angela with the Rural Housewives, who had me. They were the first podcast I'd ever been on. And I said, okay, if I were to do a podcast, where would I start? And we had an amazing Zoom session, and they gave me so many amazing tips and tricks, and I very much so value all of the time that they've put into helping me figure out, how do you record a podcast? How do you upload a podcast and edit it and get it out there to the masses, and all of these other things. And we went through all the logistics of it. And I said, I would really love to have a podcast where I get to sit down with my fellow beaders. They have their bead mat, I have mine, and we chat it out. And while we're chatting, we're creating. And I never even thought about recording it with video. I just thought about the audio. And they were like, why don't you record it with a video as well, so that people can see what you're creating? And those that just want to listen can listen, and those that want to watch can watch and listen. And so that's how, the whole YouTube channel has come to be. So all of the episodes, sans this one because this is just a recording, but all of the audios going forward are going to also have videos up on the YouTube channel, so that you could, whichever you prefer, watch or listen. And that kind of, I got off that call and I thought, I can actually do this. Like, this is coming together. And of course, some of my awesome fellow beaters, I was like, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing. And they're like, I want to do that with you. I want to be on it. I want to be your guest. And so we've already got several guests lined up, and you're going to love them. I promise. I, I'm so excited to just see how this grows. I know for me, what I hope that you all get from On the Bead Mat is you get to grow in yourself and in your craft, whatever that craft may be. Because even though we'll be talking about beading, any creators, whether you're creating silverwork or leatherwork or cups or, whatever it is that you create, you can still gain knowledge when it comes to marketing your business and growing as a creator and growing in your craft. And I want to see that growth. And I also want to give you a glimpse into the behind the scenes of your fellow creators, because one thing I think a lot of people get tripped up on when they want to start into something or they want to grow in something, they feel like, okay, well, my beadwork isn't as good as this other person's beadwork. And you kind of see the outer shell, you see the finished products, and you see the beautiful images on Instagram, and you see everything selling out all the time, and you're thinking, oh, I could never be that. And I want to give you a behind the scenes look into what it takes to get to that point, and also the struggles that we all face. I mean, I'm sitting at my kitchen table, and it's super late at night because my family is finally asleep. So the house is quiet enough to record a podcast. And I've got stuff. Like, my kitchen table, we cannot eat here. This is bead station. I have got just right here in front of me, obviously I've got the microphone and I've got the computer, but I've got like all kinds of delicates just strewn out over here. I've got Ziploc baggies of supplies there. I've got a cup sitting on top of a printer and tape and glue and my lamp is here, and my lamp is so old and falling to pieces, and my ring light is way too big, so it's all the way across the kitchen. When I turn it on, it's so bright I have to leave it all the way over there. Like, it's not, you would think that someone with 80,000 or 83,000 followers on TikTok that's posting on these videos, you would think that I have it all together. And I'm here to tell you, I do not. There are amazing people that are always organized all the time, and kudos to them. But what I have found from a lot of creators is that we are constantly working from the seat of our pants, and especially when we get hyper focused and we're wanting to create something new, or we're, so far into Christmas season, or whatever it may be. uh, you think that this space that these successful creators are in is unattainable. And I want you to hear that it's definitely not unattainable. It's very much so normal, and it's something that you are absolutely able to reach. And so also, we're going to be giving some tips and tricks. We're going to be letting you know some of our behind the scenes secrets and things that we think would be helpful, and just a little bit of everything along the way. All of that and more is what I'm hoping you'll gain from this podcast. I truly feel like giving you a look behind the curtain and letting you see what's on the bead mat of your fellow creators is not only going to just give you a leg up in your business, but it's also going to give you that confidence in your own style and your own creative abilities. So, with that said, I will excitedly tell you that the first episode is going to air the first week of January 2022. That number seems unrealistic, but here we are. We've somehow made it through both 2020 and 2021, and it's going to be a new year with a brand new podcast. I'm going to be listing all of my contact information, my social handles, and my website in the description of this video, so make sure you go and check that out. And then, of course, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we have an amazing journey ahead of us, and I'm excited to show you what is on the bead mat.